Serious, what are some of the creepiest / most terrifying missing persons cases? This just happened in Romania. A 15-year-old girl went missing. A few days later she managed to contact the police. Told them she was kidnapped, raped, beaten and held in a house. It took the police 19 hours to respond, and when they got there it was too late as she was brutally murdered, and her body was set on fire in a barrel. Pretty insane if you ask me. Ben Padilla. In 2003 him and a mechanic climbed into a Boeing 727 that was collecting dust at an Angolan airport, taxied silently to the runway, and took off. No trace of the plane or the men has ever been found. My cousin went missing for about 2 to 3 months when she was 12 years old. She was walking home from school and stopped by a store to buy something to drink. A man stood beside her and started talking her. She never made any contact with him and never answered his questions. When she got out of the store and walked fast, when the guy went behind her and covered her mouth. He then went to a corner and gutted her. He took her into a hidden house in the south of our city. He then sexually assaulted her multiple times. At that time no one knew where she was and no one found a body where she was last seen after a month. The police eventually pronounced her dead. After a couple of months, someone told the police about the hidden house they saw when they heard screaming and sobbing inside. She was found and the suspect was jailed. This isn't probably creepy, but it was really terrifying for my cousin. She is 20 now and still in therapy. The disappearance of Laci Peterson. Laci Peterson started acting strangely after getting into a fight while on vacation in Bulgaria. During the fight he damaged his eardrum and was taking antibiotics. Although there are no known side effects of the antibiotics he was on that would explain his behavioral change. Due to his damaged eardrum he stayed behind after his friends left, so he would have a few days to heal and a doctor could re-examine his ear before getting onto the plane. Once he was alone in Bulgaria his odd behavior was exacerbated. He began texting his family saying he wasn't safe and they needed to cancel his credit card. When he arrived at the airport to fly home he went to first see a doctor to get approved to fly with his injury. Apparently there was a doctor's office in the airport. While waiting to be seen he bolted out of the airport at full sprint, never to be seen again. Andrew Gostin's disappearance is haunting. I live in the UK and there are still posters up for him 12 years later on my walk to work. It's very sad. Also Luke Durbin had a Luke's eyes are poster of just his eyes in most train stations for a very long time, which again was haunting and very sad. Both have been missing for a similar amount of time and both have the eerie last moment caught on CCTV footage. I guess I find them scary as they are local to me, i.e. the same country. And they could have been anyone. Literally anyone could just disappear from sight. Anyone could have that last moment on CCTV. It's terrifying. There's one local to me in Australia. A 13 years old girl called Bung was walking on a main road to school. She was literally never seen again. Happened around 10 years ago. How can someone literally vanish without a trace in this day and age? Kristin Smart went to a college party and was walked back to her dorm building by 3 students. One of the students had a black eye the next day, scratches on his hands and knees, and after Kristin was reported missing, cadaver dogs alerted on the mattress in his dorm room. He took the Fifth Amendment to every question in a deposition. Concrete work was done in his mother's backyard the week Kristin disappeared, and a family renting the house later that year found a bloody earring in the backyard. They turned it over to police, and the police lost it before the blood could be tested. Her body was never found. The guy was never charged, and he's still living free in Southern California. Here's one that still makes me shiver. I'm from a small town that is 20 minutes south of Champaign, Illinois. In Champaign is the University of Illinois, which, without sounding racist, is the school in Illinois that has the largest concentration of Asian students. I really don't remember exactly when this happened, but I believe a year or so ago a student by the name Aing Zhang mysteriously went missing. After the police report of her disappearance was written up, the university police started to look at campus cameras looking for where she might have gone. It turns out that she was abducted, but they still had no suspects. Aing was gone for what seemed like forever until they got a matching car with the same plates that they saw in the camera footage. It turns out that she was taken by a man named Brent Christiansen. After his arrest, this man would not give up a clue about where he took her and if she was still alive. After months upon months of Hick being questioned, he revealed everything he did to her. He kidnapped her, tied her up, raped her, knocked her out cold with a table leg I believe, and then cut her up into pieces. To this day they still have no clue where her body is, but it's believed that he dropped them into a large lake that is nearby the university. This case still gives me chills. There was a girl missing in a small village in Italy. Everyone knows the girl but none has seen her. The suspects are multiple people through the case, from her best friend to her uncle. The girl found dead eventually, I think in the river of the village. The case was actually filmed to a series in Greece, and producers tried to make every episode to have as much details as every single day. I remember watching it and feel like I was living the real case. Natalee Holloway. I kid you not when I say I think about the unsolved case at least 27 times a year. There's so many conspiracies too. She's either in a shark's stomach, alive in South America hiding, somewhere trapped as a sex slave, or buried in Aruba. The day that Joran van der Asshole admits what really happened is the day that part of my brain can finally rest. Cannot imagine how her parents feel. Lynn, 15, who speaks no English, went missing from her tour group in York on Tuesday afternoon. Creepy/terrifying, because this is the UK. And she's only just been kidnapped. It is almost unheard of for this kind of thing to happen here, especially in broad daylight. 8 people are under arrest, but they are not talking, so in the meantime who knows what is happening to her at this very moment. I don't remember the name, but it was in British Columbia. A girl was celebrating her birthday at a lake. She was spending the night at the lake, and there were some of her friends there. They all left at 4 AM, and that's the last time anyone saw her. She wasn't at the lake the next morning. People dragged lake bottoms, organized search parties in forests, and people who owned planes did massive aerial searches. No one found a trace of her. Her cell did ping off a tower, but other than that, nothing. As far as I know, she's never been found. William Tyrrell, or 3-year-old boy who went missing from his foster grandmother's yard, who lives in a tiny town in NSW, in 2014. It's a very high-profile case in Australia, and has had a lot of attention this year due to a coronial inquest taking place, and the lead detective being taken off the investigation due to some alleged misconduct. It is such a frustrating case. The family situation is so complicated, and the poor kid already had a rough life to begin with. That one documentary on Netflix about a boy that goes missing and comes back after a couple years with a different accent and different facial features like new birthmarks. Check it out. I don't wanna say the punch cause it's real fucked up. The Zachary Ramsey disappearance / the case of Nathaniel Bar-Jonah. The police were never able to find his body, but there was strong evidence that Bar-Jonah kidnapped him. There is also pretty substantial evidence that he may have actually eaten the boy after the police found recipes like little boy pot pie in a journal. I know the twin sisters who were the last ones to see Zachary because they walked part way with him, and they believe that he was taken on his way to school. I may not have scrolled far enough, but I'm surprised no one has mentioned the Laci Peterson disappearance, which inspired the book and movie Gone Girl. 8-month pregnant woman who vanished for months and months, until her body and fetus body washed up on a Northern Californian beach. They were an extremely good looking couple who had a happy exterior, and he played along with the investigation until his unknowing mistress found out what was going on and started working against him with the police. It was probably more chilling to me because 1, she was from my hometown and lived about 5 miles from me. And 2, I had her as a substitute teacher a few times. And 3, my mom's friend was selling a boat, in which Scott Peterson came to look at, but ended up not buying, because he needed the boat as soon as possible. I was pretty young when the disappearance and murder of James Bulger happened. It's still a really big deal here in Liverpool, and gets brought up every now and again. I remember my grandmother telling me not to talk to strangers or I might end up like James as a warning. I was around 5 at the time of his murder, so being told that at such a young age sticks with you. My dad's roommate from freshman year in college was driving home. I believe he lived in Alaska and their college was in Maryland, so it was a very long car ride for winter break. According to witnesses, he picked up a hitchhiker after the dude begged him to give him a lift somewhere. Police found the car completely torched in the woods. No bodies were inside nor any signs of a struggle. My dad's roommate has been missing ever since and the police have no leads besides the hitchhiker, who is also missing.